Time is of the essence. We must assist our allies.
Congratulations, Marvel Rivals. Looks like you just outsmart every video game journalist and sweet baby egg. Congratulations. Seriously, do these wokies ever learn that China doesn't give a damn about you or your virtue signaling? I mean, similar with a voice actor. China doesn't give a crap about it. They don't care if there's a union or not. We're gonna react to Wagner Knows Why. I won't take all of it. Well, it depends. Let's see.
Gamers like big butts and they cannot lie, and that's what I love about Marvel Rivals. They do equality the right way. Thick thighs for girls or guys. Everyone gets to be beautiful. And I think that's the situation we're seeing right here with Marvel Rivals as it updates a lot of its characters with highly attractive proportion. And that's what everyone's talking about with this new character update that we're seeing with Marvel Rivals that recently just passed and updated the overall proportions of a lot of the female characters. And of course, doing the equality thing that is just so trending in the modern industry, they did it for the male characters as well. And it's leading to an overall difference in mixed response, at least from the people that are at least trying to protect a lot of the female attributes in a lot of the video gaming industry, where they're kind of caught with their lips tied because they can't really say anything. Because with Marvel Rivals, they kind of understand the American psychology when it comes to the overall development of a lot of the characters, where there's a sensitivity towards female characters being given increased proportion sizes. And as you can see with Psylocke, she's been giving ample proportion increases to her backside. And I think that's the thing a lot of people online are cheering for and celebrating, but they know this is going to make a lot of people angry in America.
It happens before. It's gonna happen again. China done it right. Honestly, if the woke Western video game developers continues to do this, well, China's gonna get all the money. Here, let's continue forward. I have a lot of things to say, but I have to say, this is correct. I'm probably certain that is a comic book accurate, what they have there, what I'm seeing here.
America, at least the Chinese developer NetEase, so they didn't limit this increase in backside potential to only the female characters. They actually distributed it all throughout the characters within the game itself. And that's what you're seeing a lot of people going through a lot of the character profiles like Mr. Fantastic in comparison to the old model before the update, and they're seeing an increase in size, at least in the back end, for a lot of these characters. I think this is just them, NetEase, realizing that is the case in the current modern day political environment of the gaming industry in the West, where there's going to be a backlash if you do any modification to appeal to the fan base when it comes to the female characters. And I think that's the thing that they anticipated, and it's just showing that a lot of Eastern developers are becoming more wise to the current day market trends within society in the West, where they're realizing, okay, there's a large political class of people that are trying to influence the video gaming industry to de-objectify and de-beautify a lot of the characters within the video gaming space when it comes to a lot of female characters. And I think this has been apparent for the past 10 years in the gaming industry, where we had this campaign of removing any of the attractive sensibilities of a lot of the characters. You can just look at some of the releases that we saw recently these past 5 years, where a lot of properties backed by Sweet Baby Inc. and a whole host of other consultancy firms kind of remove the overall attractiveness of a lot of characters. When it comes to Rise of Zero Dawn, when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, a lot of these companies focused on de-amplifying and de-beautifying a lot of the characteristics of the characters that were once there in previous iterations of the games. And I think this is a situation that we're seeing right now, where Marvel Rivals, NetEase Games realize there's a contingency within America that is making everything a political statement, and they approach this situation in that way, especially with Emma Frost and her overall character design, where I think it's a representative design that would be probably praised by the political activist class because it's a thicker design, not the skinny design that we see in the comics, but it's still highly seductive and attractive and appealing to the player base. And I think that is kind of causing a schism within the gaming social media journalist space, where they're trying to criticize this game, but at the same time, they appreciate some of the things that it's doing with body sizes. I think that is just reflecting back on the Chinese development space.
See that? Even the journalists cannot argue with this. They like it. My God. Marvel Rivals, you came at the right time. My God. I would say, and I'm still playing Marvel Rivals, okay? I'm probably going to have to use Emma Frost after this one. Maybe in the future, okay?
They're thinking, okay, we can meet a balance here where it's going to confuse or it's going to neutralize the activists with their comments about the game. And I think that's what we're seeing with Emma Frost and her design. But even so, I think it's just more in line with her Vanguard type of style where you just have to be thicker. But I think it's a really fun and interesting theory to think that maybe they understand that this is the situation that is happening in America, and they have to do something where they neutralize the arguments that are coming from the gaming social media class. Because when you look at some of the proportions attributed to a lot of the female characters, it's giving them those ample designs that you see in the traditional Eastern gaming, where they try to make a character that is appealing to the male gaze. And I think that's what we see here with Psylocke, Magic's X-Men uniform. And I think that's the thing that's getting the most talk right now, but I think it's reflective of the growing understanding of the Eastern audience, where they're knowing that this is a controversial thing nowadays to make characters beautiful, which shouldn't be a controversy. At least it's not a controversy in Japan, China, Korea, Russia, Eastern Europe. A lot of these countries that are outside of the sphere of influence of the American gaming industry do not have a problem with this. It's only the Western gaming industry that has a decided problem with creating characters that are not solely there to be a representative icon of some gender, racial preference group that is trying to gain a footing in society. Because if you look at gaming made for a modern audience, and you look at gaming made for just the normal, traditional class of gamers that just want to play games, you see a stark differences in reaction to the people, where when you make games with characters that are more beautified, you get an overreaction from gaming social media journalists and activists, where they try to accuse any person that likes anything of beauty or has any beauty standard as a person that's misogynistic, unrealistic.
Honestly, ever since 2014, nobody even cares what these journalists says. The reason why the journalists managed to get a hold in the West because they have access to it. Look what happened with Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian. But when it comes to the East, not including Japan, okay? Not including Japan. The East is like a big wall. They have a hard time infiltrating or even acquiring it. In the sense that the Chinese and South Korean developers, they don't care about the wokeness. They just want to do what they do best, give the players what they want, because they knew that's what the market needed. And if the West doesn't provide it, then the East will.
You're accused of being a gooner and everything else. And I think that is the situation in gaming right now, where if you do like any character that is not inherently ugly, you're accused of being the worst things possible. And I think that is a tactic that we often see with gaming social media journalists and other activists that are focused on the politics of gaming, to push away gamers from actually liking content like that. And I think what Marvel Rivals is doing to combat that is to actually reach into the logic of these people that are in the sphere of journalism or the sphere of politics within gaming, and doing something that they cannot argue against. And I think that's why we have the butt increases for a lot of the male characters. And I think more than anything, it's actually appealing to a lot of the female players out there as well. They want beautiful looking characters. And I think probably from their logic, they're just thinking, okay, this is just more proportional, more attractive and appealing, and this will probably garner a larger fan base with a female proportion of Marvel rival game players. And that is probably the simple logic that's actually happening.
I would agree. I mean, seriously, Marvel Rivals did it right, and journalists and shills, they can't say a word. I'm probably certain they're melting down. They can't say anything. So we're gonna react to one more before we end this. We're gonna skip to this.
Out through this political activist class that has invaded the gaming industry space, where they're trying to have their personal reflective politics when it comes to men, and when it comes to overall patriarchy, when it comes to feminism, when it comes to these elements that have little to do with gaming, but they want to see that representative within the gaming sphere. And to have that representative, they have to disempower the elements that they see as aggressively against their personal ideology. And I think that's the makeup for a lot of the accusations that we do see from these people, where they are about taking away the essence of what gaming was, where it was a fantasy escape, was attractive, appealing, and they're trying to reintroduce this modern audience trend that is an absolute abysmal failure to the majority of the game base. For the content that they deem as for gooners, you see the opposite trend, where those games are massively successful. And I think if you have a comparison for these two design philosophies, you see a stark difference. Just look at the modern audience games that have come out. You have a $200 million loss for Kill the Justice League. You have over 100 employees fired for Dragon Age Veilguard. You see major stock market drop for EA and its release of Star Wars Outlaws. You see a peak player count for South of Midnight for a small indie developer. You see the biggest gaming failure of all time with Concord. You see,
Well, let's see. Flop, flop, dunzo, kaput, finito, everything. This done, kaput, finito, you know. Up here is the one. I'm gonna leave What You Know's Wise video in the description. This is why they say, you just give gamers what they want, and do not complain. You know what? Scratch that. Just review the game properly. And seriously, don't use politics in it. Look at Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. People still playing it, even though nobody even review it. How many more flops are you Western AAA developers are going to make for you to learn your lesson? Jeez, I'm a loss for words, but congratulations, Marvel Rivals. You've done it right, and right now I would say the woke mythical modern audience is 300% cooked, which that's the name of the title. Yes, there's a lot of ranting, but I will consider it. Will these people ever learn? Will they ever take examples from Marvel Rivals or Black Myth Wukong? Who really knows?
So the enemy has proposed that you defect. In that case, perhaps we should use their desire to recruit you against them by planting you within their army. Gain their trust, and before long, we will give the signal for you to destroy their ranks and resolve from within.
Leave a like and subscribe if you want gaming news, gaming theories, or you just want to see me play games, or you like trending topics. You can visit my first, third, and fourth channel up here or link in the description.